Hi guys, it's Samantha here. Today I am watering my orchids that are in the hydroton clay medium, and I wanted to show you how I do it. Now for these orchids, I water them about once a week because they tend to get drier, and for my orchids that are in bark medium, I only water once every 2 weeks. Now this is the orchid food that I use, Schultz. There you go. So the way I water my orchids is probably really unconventional, and a lot of people might hate the way I do it, but because I have so many orchids, this is the way that I find works for me. So what I do is, ta-da, I use my sink, just like that. I fill it up with water all the way to the top, and then I add about just a little spoon of this orchid food, and I put it in here, and this should come with a spoon, so use that spoon that they provide you with. And then I just fill it up to the top, I mix it in, and then I basically just pour the water into my glass cups. That's it. And then I let it sit for about 15 minutes. So as you can see here, I have a whole collection of them. So for the ones planted in glass, I basically bathe it just like that, and then I'll dump it out once I'm done. And so these are the ones with no drainage holes, you see. And it's doing just fine. A lot of people don't like this method. It's not the way I guess we're supposed to do it, but this is what works for me. I've experimented, and I find I'm getting a lot of root growth from my orchids and spikes, so it seems to like it. Here, if I can show you. Thanks. As you can see, I do not edit my videos. I don't have the patience for that. So what you see is what you get. I just want to show you a good example of one of my orchids that is just showing spectacular root growth. Okay, so this one here, sitting in water, you see. And this was a sick orchid that I actually transplanted to this medium, because when I first planted it in this, all it had was just this one long root. That's it. Nothing more. And the leaves were looking really bad, and it was just not in good shape. So, remember, it just only had that. Now, it's been about a month, and since then, it's grown this new root. It's grown this. It's grown a new leaf, and also, look at this. Look at all this root growth here. You see, all this is new. And also, at the bottom, see all the roots? How it gets to the bottom like that? Sorry, it's not a good view. See? And how it goes all the way down, then up. So, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump one of my orchids here. I'm going to dump the water out to show you, so I can play around with it a little bit more. Okay, so once this is soaked in water for about 10-15 minutes, then you just dump out the water. You know what? I need a tripod. I cannot do this with one hand, so forget it. I just want to show you here the roots. This too was a fairly sick orchid when I transplanted it. Now look, it only went in with just a few roots. Now you have to check out all the roots it has grown since then. And it's fun in this medium because you can see the progress. Okay. this is new. All this here is new. Look, see how it wraps all the way around? It's quite fun to watch, actually. Look at this one. So this one here, and go all the way down, 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 down. And then it winds its way all the way up. Okay, let's see if I can show you a better view. How cool is that? Cool, huh? It's like a snake. There you go. See, and this has been in this medium for about under a year now. So, to those who say it's not possible, it absolutely is. So it is a lot of fun to watch, and you cannot see with this camera, but it is growing a new leaf. And this one here too. Okay, so this is not planted in a glass jar, or glass cup actually. This is actually in hydroton, but it is in those orchid pots that has the drainage holes. So this one's easy. Once I'm done, I drain out the water. And then I put the pot back in, and that's it. I don't leave any water in the pot. I just drain it out completely. So it works. It doesn't dry out. I mean, you shouldn't go 2 weeks without giving it a bath, because it has no, I find with hydroton, if there is no water reserve at the bottom, it will dry out faster, but 1 week is perfect without drying it too much. I'm not going to lie, I've gone 2 weeks without watering, and it survived. It was actually okay, but I wouldn't recommend it. So, because you have more air movement, I would definitely go once a week. And this one too, as you can see. So this was my orchid that I brought in from work. It wasn't doing too well when I first got it, because orchids are not meant to be in the workplace with a lot of air conditioning. And it's just so cold in my workplace that I had to bring it home. But since I brought it home, oh, and when I did have it at work, there was no growth, no nothing. It was in a bad shape. So I brought it home, I took it out of its bark mix, and I planted it in hydroton. And since then, it's got this new leaf, and there is another new leaf growing, which, see, right there. Right there. And again, I use the exact same method. Water once a week, bathe once a week. I wouldn't say water. Bathe it once a week, dump out the water, let it rest. So, that's another one. This is also another one in hydroton, in pot with drainage holes. And as you can see here, look at all this new root growth. So all this, it's all new since I planted in hydroton. And this is a spike. Nice roots, eh? Yeah. And I'll show you this one here. This is one of my birthday orchids. Remember back in April I did a video about this. It was planted in sphagnum moss. It was not doing well at all. I took out the moss, and it was all rotting roots. So since I planted it in hydroton, there's been this new leaf here, and this new leaf. There's been this new root. Thanks, excuse me. and then 2 also new roots there. And that's the progress on that baby. So, okay, hopefully I made myself clear as to how I water my orchids with hydroton clay medium. I really like this medium. And I really like bark as well, but I find this is easier for me because it's clean, and I've had these clay balls for so many years, at least 6-7 years I would say, maybe even longer than that, and they don't disintegrate. I really like bark medium as well, but sometimes I see little bugs and it makes me iffy. But it's okay. I still like it. Yeah, but one thing I really don't like is moss. I think I've told you that before. However, I do like them for my mini orchids. My mini orchids seem to love moss. So I'm probably rambling on and on forever. But yeah, I just wanted to show you this. So that's it. Fairly easy. If you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.